अब तो नहीं गिरा। ये वोकल माइक थोड़ा सा शार्प कर दीजिए। मैं तो पूजा से जप तप से अनजान हूँ। थोड़ा सा तबला बढ़ा दीजिए। मैं तो पूजा से जप तप से अनजान हूँ, मतलबी लोग से मैं परेशान हूँ। कितना भयमान है ये जमाना, मुझे ये जमाना मुझे
Hello, check. Hello, check. Hello, check. Check one. Hello, check. Check one. Clear. Hello, check. Check one. Hello, check. Check one. यार यहाँ साउंड तो जा रहा है यार ये check one. Hello, check. Check. Hello. Hello, check. Check one. Hello, check.
and also with the mind, body, and soul. Through international cooperation of Ministry of Ayush, the evidence-based practices and the products of Ayurveda system are being promoted in various countries for holistic well-being and for treatment of various disease ailments across the globe. There is a great opportunity for India to become a global hub for medical and wellness tourism through Ayurveda and yoga, and also through Ayur Yoga as a model. I'm sure this anthology will spread this message across the world and Ayurveda as a greatest gift to the humanity. Thank you.
It has been a great honor and privilege to be asked by the incredible editors of this anthology, Sachchidanand and Joshi Saab, to contribute a little something on India's incredible, grand, epical traditions. The reach of the Ramayana and the Mahabharata is incredible because it has sustained itself over millennia and has refused to be interrupted by the trajectories of colonialism, of imperialism, of all kinds of interruptions in intercivilization dialogues. Across Asia, these works continue to inspire, continue to motivate, continue to help human beings understand that the human condition will always move in the direction of hope and victory. Thank you.
Contributing an essay to the anthology Connecting Through Culture provided a fascinating opportunity to me to look back in the past when I was a young man studying engineering history and think again about the future as a person interested in international relations, how India's cultural bridge building would be a very great, immensely rich potential resource for extending its soft power into regions, Southeast Asia, Central Asia, even westward to Europe. India is a place where the two great historic routes, the historic Silk Road and the Spice Route, many times said Spice Route connected. And this puts India in a wonderful situation to radiate its culture without being intrusive in all directions.
As we all know, that most of the writings on Mahatma Gandhi are done with a secular point of view. Most writings actually despiritualize him. So, coming from these two great friends, it was a pleasant surprise and it was a pleasing experience then onward to write on Mahatma Gandhi is something that I really thought that this is a very worthwhile exercise and this book would be most worthwhile contribution to understanding several things, different aspects that they have combined in this one small anthology is a great effort. And I congratulate both of them very heartily and thank you all who have contributed to that.
नमस्कार, मेरा नाम श्याम बैनर्जी है। मेरे भारत के मेले, मेरे भारत के पर्व हैं मेरे भारत का गौरव। ये है स्वयंभू, स्वयं सिद्ध हैं, किसी एक ने रचा न इनको। माटी के 100 रंग हैं इसमें, किसी एक ने रंगा न जिनको। भारत के प्रचल इतिहास का एक सजग दर्पण है ये। उद्योग, कला, शिल्प, आस्था, संस्कृति का संगम है ये। कनेक्टिंग थ्रू कल्चर एन एंथोलॉजी ऑफ इंडिया सॉफ्ट पावर स्ट्रेंथ में मेरा लेख आप समझ ही गए होंगे शायद। भारत के पर्व और मेलों के बारे में है। मैंने इस विशाल जो ये पटभूमि है उसको शब्दों में आंकने की कोशिश की है। मैं कृतज्ञ हूँ डॉक्टर विनय सहस्त्रबुद्धे का, डॉक्टर सच्चिदानंद जोशी जी का और IGNCA, ICCR और इस अति आवश्यक संकलन से जुड़े सभी मंत्रालयों का।
We believe Himalaya is a king of gods. Gange is a river of mothers. So we believe rivers, we believe water bodies. Jai Hind.
IGNCA, in partnership with ICCR, is coming out with an anthology connecting through culture, India's soft power strength. I have been given the privilege and honor of working on a chapter for this anthology, for this book, where I explore how our epics have informed our soft power and how others have approached India across Southeast Asia, many parts of the world, through our glorious epics, through the ages, through the millennia. It's been an honor to be a part of this project and do explore this anthology and this book. I'm sure you'll learn a lot about India and about how a soft power spreads through the world. Thank you.
The greatness of India, its mind, its action, its universal message, yoga, dance, music, architecture, all the spectrum of a confluence that is India, the soft power that is India, the greatness of beauty of Bharat. This is a compendium that has never been attempted before in the last 50, 70 years, and it is a gift of the ICCR and IGNCA to the world at large. Naman to Bharat.
Connecting through culture, the wonderful publication of which we are fortunate to be a part, is being released, and it shows not only the people abroad and across the world, but ourselves, how much we actually have, how much we have to treasure, and therefore how much we should share and connect ourselves to others. Every structure, whether it is old temples or modern architecture, the textiles that come out of India, the crafts which are meticulously crafted all over the country in the small by lanes and villages that are mostly unknown, the intricacy of our skills is something that not only should we be very proud of, but it is our duty to share with the world the greatness of the human spirit.
As Adi Shankar says, Brahmatam ekatva bodhena moksha siddhayati na anyatha. Till you realize that you are one with everybody else, you will never be liberated from the sufferings or misery of this world. I was privileged that I was asked to contribute articles on Mahatma Buddha and Guru Nanak to very great thinkers of humanity, separated by more than 2000 years, but who taught the same message, the message of love, love for everybody, love for everyone.
I'm very happy that a very important book titled Connecting Through Culture, an anthology of India's soft power, is being published by the Indira Gandhi National Center for Arts and Indian Council of Cultural Relations on 13th July 2022. I'm really proud to be a part of this project by contributing my chapter on Indian cinema, which is a very, very important form of art and culture nowadays. I'm very much sure that this book will be very much important for the people who want to know about India's strength on soft power.
Ayurveda, through its holistic and individualized approach, it really helps in creating sustainable harmony with the nature and also with the mind, body, and soul. Through international cooperation of Ministry of Ayush, the evidence-based practices and the products of Ayurveda system are being promoted in various countries for holistic well-being and for treatment of various disease ailments across the globe. There is a great opportunity for India to become a global hub for medical and wellness tourism through Ayurveda and yoga, and also through Ayur Yoga as a model. I'm sure this anthology will spread this message across the world and Ayurveda as a greatest gift to the humanity. Thank you.
It has been a great honor and privilege to be asked by the incredible editors of this anthology, Sachchidanand and Joshi Sa, to contribute a little something on India's incredible, grand, epical traditions. The reach of the Ramayana and the Mahabharata is incredible because it has sustained itself over millennia and has refused to be interrupted by the trajectories of colonialism, of imperialism, of all kinds of interruptions in intercivilizational dialogues. Across Asia, these works continue to inspire, continue to motivate, continue to help human beings understand that the human condition will always move in the direction of hope and victory. Thank you.
Contributing an essay to the anthology Connecting Through Culture provided a fascinating opportunity to me to look back in the past when I was a young man studying engineering history and think again about the future as a person interested in international relations, how India's cultural building could be a very great, immensely rich potential resource for extending its soft power into regions, Southeast Asia, Central Asia, even westward to Europe. India is a place where the two great historic routes, the historic Silk Road and the Spice Route, maritime Spice Route connected. And this puts India in a wonderful situation to radiate its culture without being inclusive in all directions.
As we all know, that most of the writings on Mahatma Gandhi are done with a secular point of view. Most writings actually despiritualize him. So, coming from these two great friends, it was a pleasant surprise and it was a pleasing experience then onward to write on Mahatma Gandhi as something that I really thought that this is a very worthwhile exercise and this book would be most worthwhile contribution to understanding several things, different aspects that they have combined in this one small anthology is a great effort. And I congratulate both of them very heartily and thank you all who have contributed to that.
नमस्कार, मेरा नाम श्याम बैनर्जी है। मेरे भारत के मेले मेरे भारत के पर्व हैं, मेरे भारत का गौरव। ये है स्वयंभू, स्वयं सिद्ध हैं, किसी एक ने रचाना इनको। माटी के 100 रंग हैं इसमें, किसी एक ने रंगा न जिनको। भारत के प्रचल इतिहास का एक सजग दर्पण है ये। उद्योग, कला, शिल्प, आस्था, संस्कृति का संगम है ये। कनेक्टिंग थ्रू कल्चर, एन एंथोलॉजी ऑफ इंडिया सॉफ्ट पावर स्ट्रेंथ में मेरा लेख आप समझ गए होंगे शायद, भारत के पर्व और मेलों के बारे में है। मैंने इस विशाल जो ये पटभूमि है उसको शब्दों में आंकने की कोशिश की है। मैं कृतज्ञ हूँ डॉक्टर विनय सहस्त्रबुद्धे का, डॉक्टर सच्चिदानंद जोशी जी का और IGNCA, ICCR और इस अति आवश्यक संकलन से जुड़े सभी मंत्रालयों का।
Art culture. By practicing, we are going to make a real society.
Bharat.
Connecting Through Culture, the wonderful publication of which we are fortunate to be a part, is being released, and it shows not only the people abroad and across the world, but ourselves, how much we actually have, how much we have to treasure, and therefore how much we should share and connect ourselves to others. Every structure, whether it is old temples or modern architecture, the textiles that come out of India, the crafts which are meticulously crafted all over the country in the small by lanes and villages that are mostly unknown, the intricacy of our skills is something that not only should we be very proud of, but it is our duty to share with the world the greatness of the human spirit.
As Adi Shankar says, Brahmatam ekatva bodhena moksha siddhayati na anyatha. Till you realize that you are one with everybody else, you will never be liberated from the sufferings or misery of this world. I was privileged that I was asked to contribute articles on Mahatma Buddha and Guru Nanak to very great thinkers of humanity, separated by more than 2000 years, but who taught the same message, the message of love, love for everybody, love for everyone.
I'm very happy that a very important book titled Connecting Through Culture, an anthology of India's soft power, is being published by the Indira Gandhi National Center for Arts and Indian Council of Cultural Relations on 13th July 2022. I'm really proud to be a part of this project by contributing my chapter on Indian cinema, which is a very, very important form of art and culture nowadays. I'm very much sure that this book will be very much important for the people who want to know about India's strength on soft power.
Ayurveda, through its holistic and individualized approach, it really helps in creating sustainable harmony with the nature and also with the mind, body, and soul. Through international cooperation of Ministry of Ayush, the evidence-based practices and the products of Ayurveda system are being promoted in various countries for holistic well-being and for treatment of various disease ailments across the globe. There is a great opportunity for India to become a global hub for medical and wellness tourism through Ayurveda and yoga, and also through Ayur Yoga as a model. I'm sure this anthology will spread this message across the world and Ayurveda as a greatest gift to the humanity. Thank you.
It has been a great honor and privilege to be asked by the incredible editors of this anthology, Sachchidanand and Joshi Saab, to contribute a little something on India's incredible, grand, epical traditions. The reach of the Ramayana and the Mahabharata is incredible because it has sustained itself over millennia and has refused to be interrupted by the trajectories of colonialism, of imperialism, of all kinds of interruptions in inter-civilizational dialogues. Across Asia, these works continue to inspire, continue to motivate, continue to help human beings understand that the human condition will always move in the direction of hope and victory. Thank you.
Contributing an essay to the anthology Connecting Through Culture provided a fascinating opportunity to me to look back in the past when I was a young man studying engineering history and think again about
Good
the
evening,
future
ladies and
as
gentlemen.
a
May I have your
person
attention,
interested
please?
in international relations.
Those who
How
are
India's
standing at the
culture and
back, may I
geography
request you to
could be
kindly
a
take your
very
seats?
great, immensely rich potential resource.
I request all those who are standing at the back to kindly take their seats. Thank you. We'd like to inform those who are standing at the back to kindly take your seats. If you don't have enough seats on one side of the auditorium, there are other seats here which are vacant. I would also like to request you to kindly put your mobiles on silent mode or switch them off. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, the program will begin very shortly at 6 p.m. I request you all to kindly take your seats. Ladies and gentlemen, I've just been told our guests are likely to arrive any moment now. Those who've not taken the seats, I request you to kindly take your seats. We will begin our program sharp at 6, the moment our chief guest arrives. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our chief guest, the Honorable Minister of External Affairs, Dr. S. Jaishankar, and our guest of honor, Shri Arif Muhammad Khan, Honorable Governor of Kerala. Ladies and gentlemen, the national anthem. I request you to kindly rise.
अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता। पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा। विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंगा। तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मांगे। गाहे तब जय गाथा जन गण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता। जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे।
Namaskar, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Indian Council for Cultural Relations, Indira Gandhi National Center for Arts and Wisdom Tree, I welcome you to the launch of the book Connecting Through Culture, an overview of India's soft power strengths, edited by Dr. Vinay Sahasrabudhe and Dr. Sachchidanand Joshi. We are honored to have with us on stage Dr. S. Jaishankar, the Honorable Minister for External Affairs, Government of India, as our chief guest. Our guest of honor is Shri Arif Muhammad Khan, Honorable Governor of Kerala. We also have with us on the stage the editors of the book, Dr. Vinay Sahasrabudhe, President ICCR, and Dr. Sachchidanand Joshi, Member Secretary IGNCA, the publisher, Shri Shobit Arya of Wisdom Tree, and Shri Kumar Tuhin, Director General of ICCR. आज हम बात कर रहे हैं संस्कृति के माध्यम से जुड़ने की, और हमारी संस्कृति में गुरु का स्थान सर्वोपरि है। इसीलिए भारत की सॉफ्ट पावर पर पुस्तक के विमोचन का दिन भी बड़ी सोच समझ के साथ गुरु पूर्णिमा के दिन रखा गया है। The culture of India is considered to be approximately 5,000 years old, where knowledge was transmitted in the oral tradition in the Guru Shishya Parampara. Hence, the importance of Guru in our culture, who takes precedence over God, as it is he or she, as the case may be, who shows us the path to reach the Almighty. And so, on the occasion of Guru Purnima, we begin with a prayer to the Guru, Guru Vandana by Shri Anshmani and group.
गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरा। गुरु साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः। गुरुवर चरणों में दे दो ठिकाना मुझे। 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 मैं भटकता हूँ राह दिखाना मुझे। राह दिखाना मुझे। गुरुवर चरणों में दे दो ठिकाना मुझे। गुरु चरणों में दे दे ठिकाना मुझे। मैं तो पूजा से जप तप से अनजान हूँ, मतलबी लोग से मैं परेशान हूँ। मैं तो पूजा से जप तप से अनजान हूँ, मतलबी लोग से मैं परेशान हूँ। इस समंदर में अब ना बहाना मुझे, ना बहाना मुझे। गुरुवर चरणों में दे दो ठिकाना मुझे, गुरुवर चरणों में दे दो ठिकाना मुझे। ये है काजल का घर, बच के कैसे रहूं, अपनी आवाज दिल की मैं किस से कहूँ। ये है काजल का घर, बच के कैसे रहूं, अपनी आवाज दिल की मैं किस से कहूँ। इस मुसीबत से तू ही बचाना मुझे, तू ही बचाना मुझे। गुरुवर चरणों में दे दो ठिकाना मुझे, गुरुवर चरणों में दे दो ठिकाना मुझे। मैं भटकता हूँ, राह दिखाना मुझे, राह दिखाना मुझे। गुरुवर चरणों में दे दे ठिकाना मुझे, गुरुवर चरणों में दे दे ठिकाना मुझे, गुरुवर चरणों में दे दे ठिकाना मुझे। थैंक यू।
We would now like to extend a traditional welcome to our honored chief guest and the guest of honor. May I request Dr. Vanessa Sribudhe to kindly felicitate our chief guest, Dr. S. Jaishankar. I request Dr. Sachchidanand Joshi to kindly felicitate our guest of honor, Shri Arif Muhammad Khan. Thank you. Wisdom Tree is an award winning independent organization that publishes books which are Indian in essence and global in appeal. May I now invite the founder and publisher of Wisdom Tree, Mr. Shobit Arya, to kindly welcome our distinguished gathering.
Dr. S. Jaishankar, Shri Arif Mohammed Khan, Dr. Vinay Sahasrabudhe, Dr. Sachchidanand Joshi, Shri Kumar Tuhin, distinguished guests and friends. It is not often that a book gets published which is like a living and breathing example of what it stands for. Connecting through culture in that sense is not just a one of its kind, distinctive book, which it is, but it actually goes beyond and really lives up to its name. In its genesis, there was a collection of 25 acclaimed domain experts, all connected through culture, all connected through the power of culture, and of course, also through the power of Vinayji's and Dr. Joshi's charm and vision. It is wonderful to see many, if not all, of the contributors here today, some of whom Wisdom Tree has had the privilege of also publishing in the past. I see Professor Pushpesh Pant, somebody I admire and respect. As we today celebrate the most significant milestone in the journey of this book since its inception, we can experience firsthand how it has collected together the most esteemed guests, both on the dais and in the audience. It is my deep honor and pleasure to welcome you all to this wonderful evening, an evening where the unifying spirit and the interconnectedness that Indian culture champions is at its best. I'm sure that this book will not just fill in an academic void, but would also touch the hearts and minds of readers and help them connect through the unbreakable and timeless thread of Indian culture. Have a wonderful evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much.
I now request the co-editor of the book, Dr. Vinay Sahasrabudhe, President ICCR, to kindly make his remarks on the concept behind the book. Dr. Vinay Sahasrabudhe.
Our chief guest today, India's External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar ji. Our guest of honor, Honorable Governor of Kerala, Shri Arif Mohammed Khan Sahab. My co-editor, Dr. Sachchidanand Joshi ji. Publisher Shobit Arya, DJ ICCR, Shri Kumar Tuhin ji. Excellencies, dignitaries, many from the world of arts and culture, guests, ladies and gentlemen. प्रारंभ में ही मैं सभी को गुरु पूर्णिमा की शुभकामनाएं देता हूं, सभी गुरुओं को वंदन करता हूं। आज का दिन महात्मा गौतम बुद्ध के जीवन का भी एक महत्वपूर्ण दिवस है। आज आषाढ़ पूर्णिमा है और इसलिए गौतम बुद्ध को भी प्रणाम करते हुए मैं आगे बढ़ता हूं। Friends, world over, soft power and cultural relations are acquiring some kind of centrality in the global discourse. Culture is something that shapes soft power. And India's culture has, since times immemorial, played a key role in connecting India with the outer world. The very vibrancy and the colorfulness of Indian culture attracts the entire global community. It is thanks to this attractiveness of Indian culture, the colorfulness of Indian culture, that India and Indians have earned a huge amount of goodwill in almost every nook and corner of the globe. However, while this goodwill is extremely critical,
very, very important, unless and until this goodwill is transformed into a comprehensive understanding of Indian culture with the idea of India at its center, the accrual of soft power, I'm afraid, cannot happen. It is this need for cultivating a sound understanding of Indian culture that prompted both of us, me and my co editor, Dr. Sachchidanand Joshi, to think of an anthology on different aspects of India's soft power. As we all know, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, or the world as one family, is the doctrinal destination of our cultural relations. And this philosophy of our culture has, to me as a student of culture, at least four strong pillars. They are, firstly, our spiritual democracy as enunciated in the Ekam Sat Vipra Bahuda Vadanti, which everybody knows. Secondly, our idea of diversity as manifestation of our innate unity. Thirdly, our idea of Antyodaya, which is our own way of moving ahead of the binary of socialism and capitalism. And fourthly, our idea of being always grateful to Mother Nature without harboring any notion of conquering nature. All these points form the foundation of characteristic genius of Indian thinking, of Indian mind. And it is this characteristic thinking which is manifested in multiple ways through our epics, through our dances, through our classical music, through our traditions, which are cultivated by majorly our village artisans as well, through our food, through our architecture, and also through the way we practice our democracy. And to understand this, frankly speaking, one has to experience India. India cannot be understood just by reading books and visiting websites. One has to experience India. Recently, I must share here that the ICCR's Gen Next Democracy program, under which we invite young political leaders below 35 to experience India. There was a delegate from Ghana representing a Ghanaian political party from Africa. And in his feedback, he mentioned that visiting India facilitated me understand why India is India. So this is the characteristic importance of understanding India. For those who have not been able to visit India, I'm sure this book will help them understand what India is all about. This anthology of articles, rightly named as Connecting Through Culture, an overview of India's soft power strengths, I'm sure would facilitate a deeper understanding of various facets of India's soft power. There are a total of 23 chapters divided in 4 sections, like firstly, India's traditional knowledge, followed by Indian arts, then people of India, which of course is an important segment of our soft power, and finally, universal heroes produced by India. There is a long list of such universal heroes, but we have confined it to just 5, which is Gautam Buddha, Guru Nanak, then Swami Vivekananda, Rabindranath Tagore, and of course, Mahatma Gandhi. Having worked on the basic concept of the book, it was not very easy to shortlist contributors who can write articles giving an overview of a particular subject, explain its unique characteristics, and then provide a roadmap for further building upon what all that we already possess. Thankfully, we found true authorities on such variety of subjects. When we were conversing with the contributors, we suggested them to give us a structured article which are scholarly in content but popular in style. We suggested them to write what we call as scopular articles. And see the coincidence. Today we have 2 guests who are gracing this occasion, and they are representative of this scopular characteristic. Both of them are extremely scholarly, and both of them are equally popular. And I'm really grateful to both of them for having taken out time and accepting our invitation. I must also thank our publisher, Shobhit Aryaji, Bhavadeep Kang, who is an eminent journalist who helped us in editing the content, and also number of officials at the ICCR and the IGNCA as well. Before I end, let me quote famous journalist and author Mark Tully, whom all of us know, and he has rightly captured the uniqueness of India. He writes, and I quote, "The characteristic genius of Indian mind is not to shake the beliefs of the common man, but to lead them by stages to the understanding of the deeper philosophical meanings behind their beliefs. But the Western world and the Indian elite who emulate it ignore the genius of the Indian mind. They want to put a full stop in a land where there are no full stops." Unquote. We sincerely believe that this small attempt in the form of an anthology of essays on various facets of Indian culture will help put a full stop to the habit of portraying a distorted idea of India, mostly a product of lack of understanding. With this hope, I take your leave. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Dr. Sahasrabuddhe. The book to be released today is an anthology written by scholars who are acclaimed authorities in their respective domains. I request the co-editor of the book, Dr. Sachchidanand Joshi, Member Secretary IGNCA, to kindly speak on the book content and the contributors.
Honorable External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, Honorable Governor of Kerala Shri Arif Mohammed Khan, President of ICCR and co-editor of this anthology Dr. Vinay Sahasrabuddhe, DG ICCR Shri Kumar Tuhin, publisher of this book Shri Shobhit Arya, Excellencies, all contributors of this book, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It's like a dream come true today. It has been more than 2 years when Vinayji shared this idea with me, and I was surprised and wondering, of all the persons available in the world, why he chose me to share this idea. Coincidentally, I was also thinking on the same lines, and our wavelength matched. So much so that in later course we realized that we think almost on the same lines whenever we discussed any issue related to this anthology. It was a pleasant surprise to know that even our birthdays fall on consecutive dates. But it is not an effort of both of us only. It is a team effort and a classic example of how two institutions can work together in proper harmony and coordination. IGNCA President Shri Ram Bahadur Rai always encouraged us and showed curiosity about this book. The DGs of ICCR, Shri Dinesh Patnaik and Shri Kumar Tuhin, were always very cooperative. Shri Amog Rai and Sarachna helped us in planning the reach out of this book. When we were discussing about identifying contributors of this book, Vinayji had few names in his mind, but he gave me the tough task to identify contributors for this anthology. The task was really tough. Who should be requested? Who could always be on our request to write this book? But the predominant question was why? We discussed for long hours and chose the contributors. Finally, we could draw a list which was a galaxy of stars and was also satisfying to our expectations. It can be contested whether they are all the best, but there is no doubt claiming that they are among the best. Another tough job was to convince them to write in a structured format. We wanted all the articles to be written afresh, and that too in a given format. But everyone agreed. As you can see, they all are a wealth of knowledge and can write volumes on the subject of their expertise. But confining them to 4,000 words, that too in a format, was something like asking Kuber to give just 1 or 2 coins from his unlimited wealth. We are happy and obliged that they not only agreed and cooperated, but also tried to understand our views like a sincere student. Nobody would believe that they corrected their drafts almost 3 to 4 times to reach to the satisfaction level. With all humility, I acknowledge their devotion and sincerity. I would like to give a very brief introduction of the respected contributors. They all are well known and really need no introduction. But through this, we would also acknowledge their presence, who took time out from their busy schedule to make it to this function. This introduction is in the serial order as the articles appeared in the book. So please do not mistake in thinking that I am introducing them in any order of seniority. But first of all, let us remember the contribution of Dr. Ashish Ganju and Srimati Alka Raghuvanshi, whom we lost in past 2 years, who contributed in this anthology and always encouraged us. Shri Arif Muhammad Khan, as we know, is an Indian politician who is currently serving as the governor of Kerala. He is former union minister and had several portfolios ranging from energy to civil aviations. He holds LLB degree from the Lucknow University and is the author of Text and Context, Quran and Contemporary Challenges. He writes regularly in different newspapers and magazines. Shri Hindol Sen Gupta is an award-winning author of 9 books published around the world. He won Wilbur Award in 2018 for being Hindu, understanding a peaceful path in a violent world. He won PSF Prize for Public Service in India in 2015. He's a World Economic Forum Young Global Leader. He has been Senior Fellow at the Center for Civil Society and the Observer Research Foundation. Shri Khan and Shri Sen Gupta have jointly written the first chapter of this book, Indian Soft Power in Material and Spirit. Shri Amish Tripathi is a diplomat, author, and columnist. He took over as the director of Nehru Center in London in October 2019. Amish was listed among the 50 most powerful Indians by the India Today magazine in 2019. Forbes India has regularly ranked Amish among top 100 most influential celebrities in India. He was also selected as Eisenhower Fellow, a prestigious American program for outstanding leaders from around the world in 2014. And we all know Amish is famous for his Shiva trilogy. Anjana Sharma is Professor, Department of English, University of Delhi. She has written and edited several books, including the autobiography of Desire. Anjana and Amish have contributed the article Epical Traditions of India. Madhu Khanna earned her PhD in Indic Religious Studies from the Oxford University, was former director of the Center for the Studies of Comparative Religions and Civilizations in Jamia Millia Islamia. She has been Beena and Haridas Chaudhary Distinguished Fellow in 2013 and 14. She has written a chapter on Sanskrit, the oldest language of wisdom. Shri Prashant Pol is presently Director of Disha Consultants and Member Board of Governors IIT. He is a leading IT consultant and telecom expert and has written extensively on Indian knowledge traditions. He has written chapter on Indian traditional knowledge system. Shubhda Avinash Joshi is a retired professor and served as head of the Department Psychology in University of Mumbai. She is the chairperson of Research Ethical Committee of Hindustan Unilever. Also, she is a member of editorial team of IPUK Paramdasa Theravayar Mandir. Yoga, A Quest for Eternal Bliss is written by her in this book. Professor Dr. Tanuja Nesri is an Ayurveda professor with over 30 years of experience, serving as Director All India Ayurveda and CEO NMPB under the Ministry of Ayush. She has published 159 papers and authored 16 books in English and regional languages. Dr. Nesri has written Ayurveda as nature-friendly healthcare. Gauri Ramnarayan is a playwright, theatre director, author, and translator. Formerly, she was deputy editor of Hindu and vocal accompanist to Carnatic musicians, the maestro M.S. Subbalakshmi. She has served on Epiki jury in International Film Festival in Europe and is now chairperson Rukmini Devi Arundel Trust. She has written Time Rhythms, the World of Indian Music in this chapter. Ashish Mohan Khokar is a reputed dance critic, historian, author with 45 published books to his credit. He has been dance critic for the Times of India for 20 years, culture columnist for India Today Group and The Hindu. He has created 85 dance modules for UGC E-Pathshala. Ashish has contributed a chapter, Dance, manifestation of Indian aesthetics. Premendra Mujumdar is a film critic, a film society activist, presently holding office of the Asia Pacific Secretary, International Federation of Film Society, Vice President, Federation of Film Societies India, and Secretary, India Chapter of the International Federation of Film Critics. Sudhir Nandgaonkar is a senior film critic, a film society activist based in Mumbai. They both have contributed chapter titled Indian Cinema Moving Images. Professor Pushpesh Pant studied history, international relations, and law in Nainital and Delhi. He has taught in the JNU for 4 decades. Author of best-selling books on cuisine and culture, he is also columnist, broadcaster, and a TV anchor. He was awarded Padma Shri in 2016. He has written about charisma of cuisine in this book. Jaya Jetli has worked closely with Indian craftspersons to sustain traditional craft livelihoods and preserve India's cultural heritage since 1967 and has traveled widely both in India and abroad for her work. She created the Delhi Haat, a permanent iconic craft marketplace in Delhi since 1994. Jayaji was kind enough to contribute a chapter, Indian Crafts, Colors of Creativity. Professor T.V. Kattimani is an accomplished scholar in tribal affairs. Currently, he is the founder Vice Chancellor of Central Tribal University of Andhra Pradesh and former Vice Chancellor of Indira Gandhi National Tribal University, Amarkantak. He was the member of the National Education Policy Committee and currently the member of National Curriculum Framework Committee. He is a well-known translator. Professor Kattimani has contributed folk art, the intimate core of Indian culture. Shri Christopher Benninger studied urban planning at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology and Architecture at Harvard University, where he later taught. He came to India on a Fulbright Fellowship in 1968 and established the School of Planning in Ahmedabad, CPET. He founded Center for Development Studies and Activities. He has designed award-winning architectural projects like IIM Calcutta, IIM Hyderabad, Azim Premji University, to name a few. He has contributed in this book titled Built Heritage Quest, Quiet Flows Ganga. This is a chapter on architectural heritage of India. Alka Raghvanshi was India's first trained art curator, having trained at the Goldsmiths College, London, and the Museum of Modern Art in Oxford. A keen painter herself, she was able to perceive and experience the various art forms, the vintage position of a doer as well as an onlooker. She has several solo shows and participates in some very important group shows the world over. Indian Textile, Weaving Lives is a chapter written by her. Sad that we lost her in between. Writer, researcher, designer Shyam Banerjee is closely involved in curating cultural and spiritual heritage projects and spaces. Author of Hindu Gods and Temples, and Ajay Chakravarti, seeker of the music within, he has designed Swarna Bhumi Vatika, the award-winning Vedanta park envisioned by Swami Tejo Mayananda at Chinmaya Vibhuti near Pune. Shyam has written the eternal festival called Bharat for this book. Dr. Jnaneshwar Mule was in the Indian diplomatic services from 1983 to 2019 and worked abroad in various capacities, including as ambassador. In April 2019, he was appointed as the member of the National Human Rights Commission by the President of India. He is an award-winning writer of Marathi and Hindi. He is very popularly known as the Passport Man of India. He has authored a chapter, Ambassadors of India's Goodwill on Indian Diaspora, in this book. Professor Kapil Kapoor is a former professor of English and concurrent professor of Sanskrit at JNU. He is a member of Prime Minister's National 75th Year Commemoration Committee, Executive Council of Nehru Memorial Museum and Library, and a high-level committee, IKS Ministry of Education. He was the chairperson of the Indian Institutes of Advanced Studies, Shimla. Professor Kapoor has written on Gautam Buddha and Guru Nanak in this book. Professor Debashish Chatterjee has taught leadership in classes at Harvard University, at the Indian Institute of Management, Kolkata, Lucknow, and Kozhikode for nearly 2 decades, and he is currently the director of Indian Institute of Management, Kozhikode. He has been awarded the prestigious Fulbright Fellowship twice for pre-doctoral and postdoctoral work at Kennedy School of Government at Harvard University. Debashish has written on Vivekananda and Rabindranath Tagore. Sri Rajiv Vora withdrew from public debate, writing and speaking in 2002 to conduct experiments in non-violence among radicalized youth in violent Naxalite insurgency areas in tribal Bihar and in Jammu and Kashmir. He converted Naxalite area commanders, important radical youth leaders in Kashmir, to non-violence, creating a strong constituency of non-violence by using contemporaneous meaning of Gandhi's Hind Swaraj. Shri Amrish Mishra is a Mumbai-based journalist, writer, researcher. He has written several books which were published in Marathi and Hindi and has translated literary works of Gujarat into Marathi. Shri Rajiv Vora and Shri Amrish Mishra have jointly written the chapter on Mahatma Gandhi, the Unifier. I must acknowledge with thanks Professor Lokesh Chandra and Professor Dinesh Singh for writing the blurb of this book. Dr. Vinay Sahasrabudhe has contributed a chapter in this book titled Democracy, the DNA of India. I have also contributed a chapter titled Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, India's Worldview. Since enough is being said about us, I am not giving our biodata here. But I take this opportunity to mention two very important persons who contributed a lot in making this happen, but their names are not there in the list of contributors. Without their support, this anthology would not have been possible. Srimati Nayana Sahasrabudhe and Srimati Malvika Joshi. As you see, they are all big names of high esteems like governor, member of Human Rights Commission, directors of various institutions, eminent professionals, learned scholars. But I must place it on record that all of them cooperated and joined our meeting physically and virtually as and when they were convened. We were unable to meet them physically because of the COVID, but they joined online meetings virtually quite often. It was a mission for all of us to give shape to this historical work, and everybody equally owned this mission. As Rumi said, it is not a drop in the ocean, but an entire ocean in a drop. It is not an effort to define or redefine India, but it is an effort to emphatically proclaim what Bharat is. Today is Guru Purnima, and this is our humble tribute to the Vishwa Guru Bharat. As in Vishnu Puran, it is said, Gayanti Deva Kilagitakani Dhyanastute Bharat Bhumi Bhage. That means even gods think that those are blessed who take birth on this land of Bharat. It is the time to tell this glory of Bharat to the entire world, and connecting through culture is a humble effort in it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Joshi. I now request our chief guest, Dr. S. Jaishankar, and our guest of honor, Shri Arif Muhammad Khan, to kindly release the book Connecting Through Culture, an overview of India's soft power strengths, edited by Dr. Vinay Sahasrabudhe and Dr. Sachchidanand Joshi, and published by Mr. Shobit Arya of Wisdom Tree. Thank you, sir. I now request our Honorable Chief Guest, Union Minister for External Affairs, Government of India, Dr. S. Jaishankar, to kindly address the gathering.
Governor Shri Arif Muhammad Khan ji, Dr. Vinay Sahasrabudhe ji,
Dr. Sachchidanand Joshi ji, Ambassador Tuhin Kumar, our publisher. Give me your name again, sorry. Shobitaria. My dear friends, dignitaries, excellencies, contributors, it's really a pleasure to join you all this evening. This book, as you have heard from the two co-authors, is about soft power. It is about connecting through culture. And perhaps it's an appropriate occasion for us really to reflect on the importance of soft power and where it fits into the larger scheme of things in respect of India. So, a moment of reflection maybe on what do we mean by soft power. I think it's generally believed it's something which is intangible, which confers legitimacy, which has some sort of ethical connotation much of the time, which definitely gets your attention. It stimulates recall. It clearly shapes preference. And in that sense, soft power is a factor in the likability of a person, an institution, a nation, a society. And that is really what this book is about. What this book does, going through it, and I had the advantage of a prior copy, really it creates a comfort about India. It takes different aspects of India and it, to some degree, it brings out the familiarity with different facets with India. It talks about the penetration we have in the world, how different societies today appreciate or use or absorb Indian practices and activities. It refers to fusion of various kinds, fusion of ideas, fusion of habits, fusion of activities. So it is really, even the iconic figures that it refers to, the overall message you really get from this book is of acceptance and of likability. And you might all wonder actually why that is the case. It is the case because really in the last 75 years, India has a larger presence in the world. I can also say in many ways we are more relevant to the world, so there is a much greater interest factor. And there is a greater exposure to India because there are many more Indians in either physical form or in terms of their activities or in terms of the messaging. So for me, this anthology in many ways is a very, very notable contribution about understanding India, about appreciating India, and in many ways about valuing India. So in the business of diplomacy, I would say this is a good cop book. This is the nice arguments you give, really why others should work more with India, why they should engage India much more deeper. But reality is very tough, and you don't, I think good cops are one part of a spectrum. So even in soft power, it's important to understand that there is comfort at one end of the spectrum. Somewhere in the middle, that comfort becomes influence. And at the other end of the spectrum, there's actually domination. So, and a lot of what countries do with soft power depends on the country, it depends on the situation of the country, the power of that country. So you can have soft power as a very smooth osmosis process where you're actually absorbing things without sometimes even realizing. Or you can have soft power as a very aggressive push, a kind of model, a way of life. And that is really the spectrum today with which the world deals with soft power. So at the end of the day, soft power is about creating narratives. It is about making images. It is about setting standards so that the rest of the world is conditioned to actually deal with those standards as a reference point, and it allows actually the standard setter to evaluate the rest of the world within a framework which they have created. Now, today, India is actually in the softer part of the soft zone. That when we talk about soft power, it is, as I said, largely this exercise of creating comfort. I think there is both a power explanation for it, but I think there's also a cultural, historical explanation. In a way, you can say this is the Indian way of creating or advancing soft power. But it's also important from time to time that, where soft power, for all its softness, is an exercise in terms of influence, even of domination, then it is important to actually counter it. So I think as we look at soft power, and it can move into the field of political argumentation, even of in terms of a cultural debate, and that I think is a completely legitimate and a very important part of the soft power exercise. So how do I see it as a foreign minister, as someone who's looked at the world and diplomacy? Where does soft power fit in the larger scheme of things? I regard it today, in fact, as absolutely central to the rebalancing which is going on in the world. A rebalancing which is already creating multipolarity. Typically, when we think of rebalancing, we look at the economic facet. We say, okay, these are the 20 countries with the largest GDP. Or we look at the military facet. We say, okay, these countries have nuclear weapons, or they have power projection, or they have a veto in the UN Security Council. But rebalancing is something much more, because beyond economics, beyond politics, beyond orthodox conventional parameters of strength and influence, that is really where soft power comes into play. And we have seen in history that there can be very powerful countries, but who have actually failed in the soft power front, and therefore met political reverses. It is not something which is that far back in history. So I see today culture, that connecting through culture, the comfort that is growing about India, I see that actually as very, very central to the rebalancing, and something which works very much to India's advantage. And it is necessary today because after 2 centuries of Western imperialism, we actually have been, the legacy of the world in a way is that globalization is Westernization. And this rebalancing today is a huge historical corrective process which is in the making. It is enabling us to revisit many of the compromises and the balances that societies struck among themselves in the last 200 years. And it is both a reflection of new power distribution. It is also, in a way, a driver of new power equations. So I see, for me today, soft power connecting through cultures as having a very vital place in the implementation of diplomacy. Now, the reality of this world we live in today is that for all the nice talk, hegemonism still lives. Hegemonism is smarter, it is newer, but it is still as real as it used to be. It may be less effective, there may be more centers, but the fact is, today a large part of soft power is this setting of norms, standards, rules, even political rules. I mean, you have debates where some institution, some publication, sometimes some government will say that, if I were to take one obvious example, somebody would say, there is my version of democracy. And by the way, I feel you are short on 5 counts. So this willingness, this desire, this actually clever tactic of passing judgments on others by using a frame of reference and a culture and a specificity and trying to make that universal, that is an enormous exercise of soft power if you can actually carry it out credibly. And here, of course, in a globalized world, a lot of that is driven by the PLU factor, people like us, so that domestic political debates often become global political debates. And it's very easy, to play up a society, to diminish another one, to proffer comments, to legitimize, to delegitimize. And we accept it today as part of global politics. But at the end of the day, it is actually a very effective tool of diplomacy. Uh, it is also soft power helps to define and prioritize issues. What comes on the radar, what doesn't. Uh, it can be political, it can be cultural, there can be practices in geographies which are hyped up. There are events in other geographies which can be airbrushed. So how do you actually, in a sense, define the landscape and shape it so that the debate outcomes go as you want it? I think a lot of that is really determined by soft power. Now, as I said, we in India, as a post-colonial society, I think today, a post-colonial society re-establishing itself in the world stage as a civilizational state, as one which offers its own culture, heritage, and traditions with a greater degree of confidence. I think we are dealing, in a sense, we are engaged in a battle of soft power. We are, as I said earlier, doing a rebalancing, but we are also in many ways countering a lot of the legacy that we have inherited. Because the legacy is often raises question marks which continue. I mean, if you look even at the colonial legacy, you actually uh, had a narrative which said that the colonial rulers came here to actually help us. And even today, if you look at Western narratives, there would be the good that the British did by actually occupying this country. So, how do you actually today level the playing field, put in place these correctives? I think this is a big challenge before us in diplomacy. It is also a challenge for us at home because a lot of the solutions lie in getting the right narrative at home. You can't have a skewed, distorted legacy narrative in India and then say, give me a fair deal in the international arena. So there has to be a connection between how we project ourselves abroad and what we are at home. And I think now a lot of progress is underway in that regard. In many ways, we are today, for example, creating a much more balanced and a much more rounded and a much fairer historical narrative, even of our recent past. We are bringing in cultures and traditions and practices which previously a very narrowly defined mainstream may not have given it the right amount of play. I think there is a realization today that uh, our culture, traditions, and heritage, there is an interplay between how they are projected in the world and how they are practiced at home. And this exercise, I would say, the cultural rebalancing, at home, the cultural rebalancing abroad. I think this is part really of the long strategic game that is going on in international relations. So where are we today? How do we, how would I define myself in terms of soft power? I would certainly say that we can, with a great deal of credibility and authenticity, stress our democracy and pluralism, which is reflected, in fact, in Dr. Sahasrabuddhe's chapter in the book. We can emphasize our return to the world stage as a civilizational state with a particularly rich culture. We are a faith-respecting society. We are a rule-abiding polity. That too counts a lot. We have a work ethic which is particularly responsible for the reason why our diaspora has so smoothly settled down in different parts of the world and relates to local societies. We are increasingly perceived as a tech-friendly society. And in many ways, it's not just what we have accomplished. I think the generosity of India has also come through in different ways. I think Vaccine Maitri has been a very strong statement. Very often when I go to Africa or to other countries in Asia or meet with my counterparts in the Caribbean or the Pacific Island, I would say today, perhaps if there's a single action which for them defines what is India, it has actually been the Vaccine Maitri exercise. We have built a reputation, a deserved reputation, as an advocate and a fighter of Global South. That there are Global South causes and big countries of the Global South. It's very important that they are not selfish, that they stand up for the larger community. And a lot of our image abroad, I think today with other societies, is also a reflection of the progress we have made at home. So when we today are a more inclusive society, a more digital society, a greener society, a society which has dealt with a lot of legacy challenges, challenges of gender, challenges of discrimination. I think all of that sense of an India that is today progressing, it is embracing modernity while preserving and even enriching its traditions. I think that in many ways is our primary image. So I would like really to conclude by emphasizing that India today, when it comes to soft power, is a polity which expresses its beliefs, which practices its values, which is very proud of its way of life. We obviously would not allow it to be diminished or denigrated in any way. We believe that we enrich the world more by example than by aggressive advocacy. So in that sense, I would say soft power, effective soft power is best preached and practiced through the middle path. And I would say in the message of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam in many ways expresses that middle path when it comes to coexistence and pluralism. So I'm very glad today that we have an anthology which certainly we in the Ministry of External Affairs would like to use extensively as part of spreading our message. Once again, I thank you all for making that possible. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you, sir, for your address. I now request our guest of honor, Shri Arif Mohammed Khan, Honorable Governor of Kerala, to kindly speak on the occasion.
Thank you very much. Dr. S. Jaishankar, Honorable Union Minister for External Affairs, Dr. Vinay Sahasrabuddhe, President ICCR, Shri Sachchidanand Joshi, Member Secretary, Indira Gandhi National Center for the Arts, Shri Shobhit Arya, Publisher, Shri Kumar Tuhin, Director General, ICCR, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure to participate in this event
organized to release the book Connecting Through Culture, an overview of India's soft power, edited jointly by Shri Vinay Sahasrabuddhe and Shri Sachchidanand Joshi, which is the first of its kind anthology of essays on India's soft power. The book discusses in detail different aspects of country's soft power strength. The book, I hope, shall initiate a nationwide, or one should hope global, discussion on India's soft power. My congratulations to Shri Vinay Sahasrabuddhe and Shri Sachchidanand Joshi for their remarkable work. Soft power is a term of recent coinage, but the concept is not new to India. Rather, it is deeply rooted in Indian cultural and civilizational ideals and ethos. It has been said, and said not recently, few thousand years back, Bharatasya Pirtishthe Due, Sanskritam Sanskriti Tatha. India's prestige or India's power depends on two factors, and they are Sanskrit language and Sanskriti, that is the culture of India. Then further it has been asserted that Indian culture is totally dependent on Sanskrit language. Sanskriti, Sanskritashrita. So India has attached always, in fact, it has been asserted by very well-known people that Indian society has never viewed the kings and generals as their ideal or models. The Indian society has always viewed thought leaders who were known as rishis, our sages, and even those who wielded power, they walked to their ashrams in the forest to seek their guidance. This is the foundational virtue of Indian culture, and we are talking about connecting through culture. And here I would like to refer to what Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore, whose name figures among 5 persons who have been described as our, what term you have used? Iconic figures. He said, I love India, not because I cultivate the idolatry of geography, not because I have had the chance to be born in her soil, but because she has saved through tumultuous times the living words which issued from the illuminated consciousness of her children. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma Shantam Shivam Advaitam. It was he only who has said, and which explains beautifully and powerfully the genius of India. He said, India cannot attain true independence unless it is recognized that her foundation is in mind, which, with its diverse powers and confidence in those powers, goes on all the time, creating Swaraj for itself. Swaraj means an order, political, social, economic order, which is totally committed to the public welfare, particularly to the last man, as described by Mahatma Gandhi. So these, and that is why India, if we refer to 10th and 11th century history books written by Arab historians, right from Tabri to Ibn Kasir, Ibn Asir, even Ibn Khaldun, then most of them have devoted few pages in the first chapter to India. And the basis, I will come to the basis later, what they have said is that the whole world, there are 5 dominant civilizations or cultures. All other countries are member of this camp or that camp. The Persian civilization is known for its splendor. The Chinese civilization is known for its craftsmanship and obedience to law. Romans for their beauty and chivalry. Turks for their bravery. And finally, they say Indian civilization is one which is known for promotion of knowledge and wisdom. And possibly, that I consider is the foundational virtue of Indian culture and civilization. And possibly, the basis for this assessment is a prophetic saying, Ajidu rihal ilmi min biladil Hind. I am feeling the cool breeze of knowledge coming from the land of India. So what distinguishes India is not its military strength or any other aggressive power. India has always been, even today we are talking about India aspiring for the role of Vishwa Guru. What is Vishwa Guru? Vishwa Guru is not a title, is not a position, it is a role. And we feel that this role has been performed by India in the past. And now we are aspiring that we are able to revive that kind of situation. What is Vishwa Guru? The Indian sages have clearly spelled it out. They say, Etad desha parshu tasya sakashad agraj anmana swam charitram shikcheran prithviyam sarvam anava. A long time back, our sages had envisaged that India should have the knowledge power which is able to attract people from all over the world, not to study Indian culture and civilization, but we should have the kind of teachers who are proficient, who have deep grip on other cultures, and people from other countries to know about their own culture, to study about their own civilizational value. They travel to India. That can happen only when that kind of teachers are available, and that kind of teachers were available in Nalanda. There are so many historical accounts. In Takshila, in the old universities, which during the course of time, because of many other factors, they were destroyed. So what Indian culture basically, basically what, because this was the culture of knowledge and wisdom, promoted knowledge and wisdom. Therefore, peace is needed. There is need to eliminate any chances of conflict. Therefore, India made, at the beginning of its civilizational journey, India made a proclamation of universal, eternal truth. Ekam sad vipra bahuda vadanti. The truth is one, but it is perceived as many. India always believed that all people should not be confined to one single interpretation of reality. And therefore, we accepted diversity. To us, since ancient times, diversity implied acceptance and coexistence, not tolerance. Acceptance and respect for a tradition to which we do not belong. Acceptance and tolerance. And Swami Vivekananda goes to the extent of saying that when somebody, he said, we do not tolerate, you tolerate the antics of a child. We accept and respect every tradition. And he says, when somebody talks of tolerance, it sounds like blasphemy to me. I have no right to tolerate anybody. Whatever path one chooses, I am duty bound to accept it and respect it. So when diversity has been attached so much significance and importance in Indian tradition, the human society also needs unity. We have praised, in fact, we have recognized that diversity is not something which basically it came, the discovery by our sages as the law of nature. Human beings are bound to differ. They are bound to have different thinking, different mindset, different attitude, and that must be respected. So, but unity is also the need of the human society to how to create unity, sense of unity and fraternity in the society. Then the Indian sages, what they did was that they did not use either race or language or even religious faith as the basis for unity. Because if you accept race or language or religious faith, then many people are excluded. Therefore, they decided or they made Atma, the soul of man, as the single basis for creating unity. Aham Brahmasmi, the God in the form of the soul, dwells in me. Same God in the form of soul dwells in you. That must create a sense of unity among us. And this interconnectedness through soul, Atma, should give rise to the feeling of fraternity. That was the basis which Indian sages used to create. In fact, that is why it came to be described as a universal vision. Because Indian culture does not view a person in terms of the variable and alienable characteristics like which are associated with the birth, color of the skin, what language you speak, how you worship your God, you believe or you do not believe. Rather, Indian culture views a person in terms of invariable and inalienable characteristic, that is the Atma, which dwells, the innate divinity of the man, the divine potential of the man, about which Swami Vivekananda said that he said, my mission can be explained in very simple words. I want to teach unto mankind, not to Indians, not to people belonging to any particular faith tradition. No, I want to teach unto mankind their divinity and its manifestation in all movements of life. And in fact, again, something comes to my mind that Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore, when he was awarded Nobel Prize, in his acceptance speech, he referred to the Upanishadic idea of oneness of being, Wahdatul Wujud, where he referred to these two Upanishad lines from the Upanishad, Yastu Sarvani Bhutani Atmanye Vanu Pashyati Sarva Bhuteshu Chatmanam Tato Na Viju Gupta Se. One who perceives his own self in all beings and all beings in his own self, he is left with no room, no scope for nursing aversion or separateness from anybody. The pain of the other becomes his own pain. The problems of the other become his own problems. That is the cultural heritage of India. That is what India stands for. And that is why Indian thought emphasizes that the human body must be considered as the temple of God. Deho devalaya prokto jiva deva sadashiva. The human body must be respected. Anybody, everybody. We must cultivate this sense of respect for everybody and anybody. But it does not, we can't, in the light of these teachings or this cultural heritage, we cannot ignore the other aspect also. That we are living in a world, and India has gone through that, where mere soft power is not enough. So what the Indian culture says about that? Here the Indian culture says, Agarta chaturo veda prashta sasharam dhanu, idam brahmam, idam chhatra. Shastradapi, shastradapi. When you are subjected to an aggression, when you face those who have evil designs, then you should not only have the fully equipped with knowledge and wisdom, the soft power, but on the back, on your back, you should be armed with weapons. These weapons, Indian culture says that these weapons are not meant to dominate over others, to impose your views on others. But these weapons are meant to defend yourself against the aggressor. I have no hesitation to say that in the period of decline, India ignored this aspect. And that is why we were subjected to many humiliations. And now, definitely, after independence, more so now, the leadership is fully aware. But our thrust, India will remain India as long as our thrust will be on the soft power, and to be more specific, to promote the tradition of knowledge and wisdom. And our freedom movement itself is a great example, possibly the only movement in the freedom movement in the world, where only soft power was employed to throw out the colonial power. Satya, Ahimsa, and Satyagraha. And India became an example. And I would say, if you look around the world, we generally ignore some developments. In USA, in South Africa, Nelson Mandela. In USA, Martin Luther King. They all got their inspiration from Mahatma Gandhi. Well, you can think about it. would it have, without the movement launched by Martin Luther King, would it have been possible for Mr. Obama to become the president of USA? And that movement was inspired by Mahatma Gandhi. First time when I went to Indonesia, outside the palace, Indonesia, everybody knows, is a Muslim country, overwhelmingly Muslim country. Outside the palace, there is a huge statue of Krishna Arjun Samvad. Outside the presidential palace, like our India Gate, lawns. So our ambassador in Indonesia told me, he said, ask any Indonesian, what is this? He will say Krishna Arjun Samvad. Then tell them, but you are a Muslim country and this is a Hindu icon. And you will see that if you ask this question to 10 people or 100 people, they give an answer which is almost identical. On the suggestion of our ambassador, I asked this question. We were strolling there and I asked this question. And everybody said, yes, of course, Islam is our religion and this is our culture. Culture has nothing to do with your faith. Culture has geographical connect. And to give you a more interesting example, I think I have already taken more time than allotted. So I will conclude with this, that on this lighter note, go to the YouTube and you will find this clip there where somebody is making this point that they went to attend some wedding reception in Pakistan, in Lahore. The guests were there, but the bride and bridegroom were absent for a long time. Then everybody started becoming restless. Why bride and bridegroom are not coming? Is there any problem? No problem. Finally, the father explained to the guests, you know, these Indian films have created so much problem that the bride and bridegroom are in the backyard. They are taking phera around the Agni. This was on the day of marriage reception. So culture, even if you deny it, but as that famous Western author has said in his book, Outliers, who you are cannot be separated where you come from. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your views with us. And to propose the vote of thanks, I invite the Director General of ICCR, Shri Kumar Tuhin.
As we come to the end of this event for release of the book Connecting Through Culture, I have the pleasant task to give vote of thanks. To begin with, I would like to convey our gratitude to Dr. S. Jaishankar, Honorable External Affairs Minister of India, for taking time out of his hectic schedule and for gracing today's event and for addressing us. In his remarks, he spoke to us about the importance of soft power and where it fits in the overall scheme of things, and provided us guidance on the role that soft power, which is the good cop, in the good cop, bad cop equation of soft power and hard power, it can play in further enhancing India's impact globally and in implementation of our diplomacy. Thank you, sir. Our deep gratitude to Sri Arif Mohammad Khan Sahab, Honorable Governor of Kerala, for gracing today's event and for his insightful remarks on what India is and on what foundational virtues of our nation are. The chapter that he authored in the book entitled Indian Soft Power in Material and Spirit, which is the very first chapter, sets the context in which the important topic of soft power is addressed. I extend my sincere thanks and gratitude to President ICCR, Dr. Vinay Sachchidanand, who has been the driving force behind this project. At each stage, especially where more clarity was required or certain issues were to be sorted out, he has given us the requisite guidance to continue moving. Together with Dr. Joshi, he has jointly edited the book and has given it the form and quality that we see today. The book, which provides an overview of India's soft power strength, is a joint project of ICCR and IGNCA, and a lot of work has gone into making this book a reality. I convey my sincere thanks to Dr. Sachchidanand Joshi, Member Secretary of IGNCA, for his support and for all what he has done. And again, using his own words, making a dream which ICCR and IGNCA we dreamt together into a reality. Right from the ideation stage to the final publication stage, IGNCA has been an extremely valued partner of ICCR. The true worth of a book like this can be easily seen by the caliber and quality of its authors, who have contributed chapters and who are all renowned experts in their fields. I express my sincere appreciation and thanks to each one of them, even if in the interest of time, I'm not individually naming them and their contribution again, as it has already been done earlier by Dr. Joshi. Our thanks are also due to Mr. Shobhit Arya from the publisher's Wisdom Tree, whose hard work and energetic support is behind giving a concrete form to the idea of publishing an anthology of articles on various aspects of India's soft power. In the end, our thanks to the ambassadors and members of the diplomatic corps and all our distinguished guests present today, and to all those countless officials and persons, including in the ICCR and IGNCA, who were involved in making this project a reality. Wishing you all a very good evening. I thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we take great pleasure in informing you that we have a sale counter outside where you can buy the book at concessional rates. We have also created a special counter for the diplomats where they could collect their copy of the book, courtesy the publisher. At this point, I would like to request all the contributors of the book to kindly come on the stage for a group photograph after the national anthem. And now, ladies and gentlemen, kindly rise for the national anthem.
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंगा तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तब जय गाथा जन गण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे
I request all the contributors to kindly come on the stage for a group photograph. We have books for contributors also, which you may collect from outside. And for all of you, there is a sale counter outside from where you can pick up your book at concessional rates, and the diplomats can pick up your book, courtesy the publisher.